Good afternoon. Thanks for spending the time. Last presentation of the morning. My name is Gordon Hutton. I'm from Venafi, and as you see here, we consider ourselves the immune system for the internet. We have a mission statement that we'll start with. That mission statement is to secure and protect the Global 5,000, which many of you work for. So our mission is to secure and protect the Global 5,000. By that we mean the keys and certificates, which we see as the foundational element of the internet. Two things, which I'll get to as part of this. DNS and identity, major part of what we need to protect on the internet. We'll talk about mobile devices, Internet of Things, and what hackers are really doing now. The threat landscape is changing. We've got our company splash slide here. You can see from a global perspective, Venafi we really don't have a competitor in this space, which is quite a unique position to be in. 4 out of the 5 top banks, 8 out of the 10 top health insurers, and 4 of the top retailers in the world. So quick quote from Gartner. I'm just trying to build some credentials here. Quick quote from Gartner to say that by 2017, next year, 50% of network attacks will be on SSL. We all experience SSL every day. We all buy things from the internet. We all use online banking. Companies are protected by SSL, and 50% of the attacks are going to be on SSL themselves. What we cover, the keys and certificates. So SSH I'm going to talk about a little bit. I'm not going to spend this presentation teaching you about what this stuff is, how it works, or anything like that. I'm going to give you real examples of situations that I've dealt with, customers that I've worked with, and how we've helped protect against problems for those companies. So the old way of doing things, humans, we had passwords, we had different devices, different biometric devices to help us authenticate against whatever we were doing, our banking or whatever. In the silicon-based world, the keys and certificates are that. So computers and databases and all sorts of things will talk to each other via certificates and keys. That's the way they're secure, as you know. Okay, so as I was saying about foundational, the internet was obviously built on DNS. Without DNS, there would be no internet. Computers wouldn't be able to talk to each other, IP addresses wouldn't work, humans wouldn't understand how to communicate on the internet with just numbers and things like that. DNS, foundational. Keys and certificates, again, foundational. So I've thrown this quick slide in here because hopefully I want to make everybody understand where I'm coming from. It's a very old picture, this, but our CEO likes this one very much. It says, on the internet, nobody knows you're a dog. Basically, you could be anybody. And how do you prove that you are? Who you're communicating to is who you are meant to be communicating with, and how the communication is secure between the two. This is just a good talking point from there. Okay, so these all the things the internet is made up of, and communication and traffic is where the money is. Nobody's really talking about keys and certificates because it's just done. It's part of the system. It's not sexy, it's not very cool, it's not a shiny box that you can buy. It's nothing like that. Everybody does it. You can get free ones, you can sign your own, but everything rests upon the communication being secure. Everything rests upon the communication happening to the right people at the right time. If it goes wrong, everything goes wrong. We've seen this. This isn't hype. We've seen it at Sony. We've seen it at Walmart. We've seen it at Target. We've seen it at the big places where attacks have happened. Okay, I'm going to skip through some of these quite quickly because I'm conscious of time and how much we're overrunning. This is a slide that I use to try and communicate what we're talking about. Perimeter security, as far as we're concerned as a company, is dead. Like I say, we've got the biggest companies in the world. We've seen this. We've talked about this. Perimeter security is dead. There's no need anymore to protect your environment, to hold everything in, because we work from home. We work from coffee shops. We have distributed databases across the world. There is no perimeter anymore. What we're trying to show here is how these attackers didn't break through the front door of this building. They went underground. the metaphor being compromised keys and certificates are the same as tunneling underground and coming up inside the company unprotected. Nobody's looking there. There's no security cameras underground. They're all looking outside. Okay, so that makes them the perfect target. We're seeing keys and certificates in an organization having 17,000 plus in a medium-sized organization. It becomes a really, really, really big management problem. I've seen spreadsheets breaking Excel with the amount of rows that companies are tracking from their keys and certificates. People are making a request, logging it into Excel, and when Excel flashes red on a row to say this certificate is expiring, somebody has to go and do something. 17,000 certificates in an average organization. When we talk about the bigger organizations, such as the biggest banks, you're talking about millions. How do you manage them? How do you know that your certificates are expiring? You've got weak algorithms, you've got very long expiry dates on a certificate. Basically, applying your security policy to a certificate estate is very, very difficult. So to translate that also into SSH, people have the real problem, and everybody does, of managing the key pairs that are out there. If you set up trusted relationships as a systems administrator, you set up trusted relationships, key pairs between your servers that you work on. I did it myself. I started in as a systems administrator many years ago, too many years ago now, but that's what I did. I didn't log into a machine and use my password every time. I set up a trusted SSH relationship, and I would guarantee, I'm not going to tell you which company I'm talking about, but I would guarantee that my name is still in there, that these key pairs are still there, and that could be almost 20 years ago. Okay, so tooling is a big problem, basically. Trying to show here, and I'll skip through this quite quickly, is projected growth. The people growth, the device growth, we're all seeing it. I've got 2 phones in my pocket right now. I've got my iPad in my bag, I've got my MacBook, all of those things. Devices are going crazy. They all need to be secure. Everybody needs to connect to their email, their companies, all of those things. Devices are going crazy. Software also, if we're taking the numbers here, software is going through the roof. We can be more and more reliant on it. To secure it with encryption everywhere, you've got a major, major management problem on your hands. Okay. This one I like very much. 95% of organizations don't know where their keys and certificates are on the network. This is absolutely true. So, being careful with using examples where companies that I visited this week in Greece, where the understanding of how many certificates they had in their environment and what they're telling us is very good. Have a very solid understanding of what they have. Times it by 10. Times it by 10. So the reality as an attacker, or as a would-be attacker, I'm not really an attacker, as a would-be an attacker, I've got 10 times the amount of targets that company thinks they have. Okay, stolen certificates. Okay, so my example here, and I'll try to do this as much as possible. My example here is a customer of ours. I absolutely never give out this customer name type information. Marketplace is huge for stolen certificates. Is anybody aware of the JP Morgan hack, the JP Morgan Chase challenge? Okay, massive breach in JP Morgan, a huge loss of face for JP Morgan. A subsidiary company of JP Morgan were putting on websites for their corporate challenge. So which is a running race. Other companies would sign up to it. Morgan Stanley was one of them that just comes to mind. They were affected by this. The attackers used a stolen certificate. They used a bad credential. They put up a website pretending to be JP Morgan. Morgan Stanley signed up to that website, gave an awful lot of money for people within their company to attend the JP Morgan Chase Challenge. JP Morgan is saying, hang on a minute, this isn't ours, you haven't registered. big problem. The example I come back to about this, I was working with a company recently who gave me their private keys over email. So if anybody knows what the impact of that, I could do whatever I like. And that was a major global financial. Gave me their private keys over unencrypted email. People don't understand the problem of this. When I explained to them the problem, I said, I could pretend to be you, I could be you, I could sell these things. I could sell these certificates for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of euros today, easily, and disappear. Major problem. Everybody needs encryption. Well, say nobody. Most people don't understand the scale of the problem of managing that encryption. Okay. We've done this with Gartner. So Gartner said this in 2013, and it's absolutely true. They actually underestimated this, in my opinion. Okay. So interesting, we just had CyberArk on. Personally, I want to hear a lot more from CyberArk. I think they have a very good solution. When it comes to access to the environment, okay, 24,000 user IDs and passwords in an average organization. Every single organization has a policy, a very strict policy on managing those IDs and passwords. Keys and certificates? Not really. Not really. We find all sorts. We find wildcard certificates that are copied everywhere, which means one compromise, we've got everything of in your environment. We find self-signed certificates. We find certificates that are purchased from third-party vendors such as GoDaddy and people like that. All types of certificates have their place. But when a company has a policy and no control, that's where Venafi really has a good day. Okay, so conscious of time, we spoke about the immune system for the internet. So where I'm really getting to in all of this is, and our CEO would kill me if I didn't put this slide up here, but ultimately, we see ourselves as the immune system for the internet. So I've gone too quickly there. 500 million BC, bacteria, viruses, and pathogens. The body found a way. The body found a way to deal with those. And it's done that through this nice little graphic we have here. Human leukocyte antigen. Basically, your body will attack what shouldn't be there. In the same way, Venafi, using your policies, using what you decide needs to be done with our best practice, Venafi will seek out what shouldn't be in your environment, and hopefully this works, and kill it. Well, it didn't work, but it will kill it. Basically, get rid of it. So it will alert to you the fact that there is a certificate in your environment that shouldn't be there. You have a certificate on your main financial trading website, your gambling website, your travel website, whatever it may be. You have a certificate expiring in 2037. Okay, it gives me 20 years to break that. I think we can do that. It will show you the issues with weak keys, poor algorithms, all of those sort of things. That's what Venafi will do. Gone a little bit more, I've spoken about JP Morgan Chase, Sony, I'm sure everybody knows. Sony was hacked. SSH here is very, very interesting. We had a guy working for Venafi for a little while. And I will be sketchy on the details here, but about 5 years prior to joining Venafi, he was with a major Wall Street bank. Okay, a major Wall Street bank. We were talking one day about SSH and how, this is a couple of years ago now, and we were talking about SSH and how we see it as a product that we want to be more involved in. I personally see it as an issue because I've done it. I was the guy on the computer logging in between computers, writing code to bounce data between machines, to copy back up to databases, all of those things, using SSH keys. What he did was he said, well, hang on, let's try your theory. And he logged into the Wall Street Bank. He logged into the trading application of the Wall Street Bank, and he bounced between 5 computers before basically a few of us in the room said, you probably want to stop doing that. We got in touch with that major Wall Street bank and closed down the ability to do it. They're a customer of ours, but it shows the problem. It shows the problem with SSH. Recently did a project for a bank in the Netherlands, and as a wrap-up, we said as part of the project closure, said, okay, let's just try this. Just one thing, we'll try this. Let's look at your SSH information, your SSH details. And we found, and the guys in the room, and I won't use the language they said, but they found information for people who had left the company over 10 years ago. So that's SSH information where you could log in from outside. You could log straight in and do another NSA hack just the way Snowden did, stepping through your environment and stealing information. So I'm going to quickly get to the end. But that's Venafi. We are the immune system for the internet. We look after your keys and certificates and help you run a more secure business. Thank you for your time.